An empire had gathered to bow. Governors, officials, judges, and rulers stood beneath a golden image that towered over the plain of Dura. When the music sounded, everyone was expected to fall down. Refusal carried one punishment: immediate death in a blazing furnace. But when thousands lowered themselves to the ground, 3 men remained standing: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They stood alone, their conviction as solid as the ground beneath them. These were not men who acted on impulse. Their roots went deep. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were Jewish exiles living far from Jerusalem. They had been taken from their home as young men. Babylon had given them new names, educated them for royal service, and placed them in positions of responsibility within the empire. They could work for the empire, and they served it well, but the empire could not own their worship. Their loyalty was already spoken for. Long before the furnace was heated, these men had decided whom they belonged to. Their faith was a decision made in the quiet, for the sake of the loud. Nebuchadnezzar's command left no room for private conviction. It was a decree that demanded a public display of submission from every soul. At the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, harp, and every kind of music, every nation and language was to worship the image he had erected. This was more than a ceremony. It was a public test of allegiance. Obedience would be visible, and so would resistance. The stakes were life and death. The image stood 60 cubits high, a monument to the king's pride. Every eye was fixed upon it, waiting for the first note to sound. The music sounded. Bodies lowered across the plain. Rank, language, and nationality disappeared into one act of submission. A sea of people fell. Yet Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not move. They were not protected by a crowd. They were the only ones still standing in their section. They did not know whether anyone else would stand. Faithfulness suddenly made them the most visible men in Babylon. The silence of their stance was deafening. They stood as witnesses to a higher kingdom. While others looked to the earth, they looked toward the truth they had known since childhood. Certain officials quickly accused them before the king. They emphasized that these were Jewish men whom Nebuchadnezzar himself had appointed. In their accusation, refusal to worship became both religious defiance and political insult. They were brought before the most powerful man in the world. The king summoned the 3 men and offered them another opportunity. When the music played again, they could bow and live. If not, the fire awaited. "Who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands?" he demanded. The challenge was thrown. The response would define their legacy. Nebuchadnezzar's ultimatum was clear, but the 3 men remained composed. Their mouths stayed closed, yet their silence spoke volumes. Their answer has echoed through every generation of believers. The God they served was able to rescue them from the furnace and from the king's power, but their obedience was not based on a guarantee of rescue. Even if God did not deliver them in the way they hoped, they would not serve Babylon's gods. They would not worship the golden image. Their decision was final. Even if he does not. Their faith was not a bargain. Even if he does not was not unbelief. It was faith without a bargain. They did not obey because they believed obedience would make them untouchable. They obeyed because God remained worthy, whatever happened next. Their decision was made before the heat touched them. The fire was only the setting. Nebuchadnezzar ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual. The intensity of his rage was matched only by the intensity of the flames. The 3 men were bound in their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothing. The soldiers began leading them toward the roaring furnace. To everyone watching, their refusal appeared to have accomplished nothing except their destruction. But heaven's silence had not made their faith meaningless. Before they ever entered the furnace, they had already won the first battle. The pressure to bow had not conquered them. They were victorious in spirit. They walked forward, not with the arrogance of men who knew they would live, but with the peace of men who knew they belonged to God. Most of us will never stand before Nebuchadnezzar's image. But pressure still asks us to exchange conviction for acceptance, honesty for advantage, and obedience for safety. The question is not only whether God can rescue us, The deeper question is whether we will remain faithful when we cannot control what obedience may cost. What conviction would become difficult for you to maintain if everyone around you chose differently? Where would you stand? Subscribe to Bible in Real Life and continue this extraordinary story with us on Thursday, when 3 men enter the fire but the king sees 4. Bible in Real Life. Join us for the conclusion this Thursday as we witness the miracle in the fire. Subscribe now. Thank you for watching. Faithfulness is its own reward. We will see you in the next episode.